Hello, welcome to this week's edition of The Insider. I'm your host, Scott Bremner. It is sport, and yet it is business. It is tourism, and it is environmental stewardship. It is steelhead fishing, and it is so popular, it not only has its own regional and state associations, it will soon have an entire expo dedicated to the sport. The impact of steelhead fishing, the focus of this half hour on The Insider. Joining me to start things off is John Hall. He is a director of the Steelhead Association, and he is also the co-chair for this year's Expo. Thanks for being with us.
It's great to be here.
I guess the first question, and pardon me if this sounds kind of dumb, but I assume there may be people that don't know the sports. Let me just start with the basics well, what's a steelhead?
Steelhead is a rainbow trout, basically. It's a very large rainbow trout that spawns in the streams and rivers and goes out to the big lakes to spend the summers, and then it comes back in much bigger than it was in the beginning of the year and spawns in the fall, and they get pretty big. They go 6 to 15 pounds, and great sport fighting fish, tremendous.
So with all the fish that are out there, the walleye, perch, and everything, the steelhead seem to have its own, I don't want to say fan club, but its own people that do that. Is it because of the fight they put up that people are such fans of that particular fish?
I think that's probably a big part of the reason. It's an active form of fishing. When you're steelhead fishing, for the most part, of course you can fish from a boat for steelhead just like you would walleye or perch, but a lot of the inshore fishing is you're done with fishing rods and you hook up one of these fish and you get a ride. They jump, they pull, they run up the creeks. It's just a lot of fun. So there's a thrill involved in catching it. And of course, the process of finding the fish and putting your bait or your fly in the right place makes it an even more active adventure for everyone.
And pardon me if I misspeak because I'm not an avid fisherman, but as I understand it, you can do this from many different places along the creeks and rivers, or you could do it from piers or jetties. Or one of the things that I guess gives the sport part of its appeal is that you can do this from many different locations. Is that true?
That's absolutely the case. As I mentioned, there's an offshore aspect of it. There's boat fishermen will be fishing for steelhead throughout the summer, different depths in the lake. As the fall approaches, the steelhead are closer to shore, so you see the guys fishing from boats near in. We'll actually have a presentation about that aspect of the sport. And then, of course, once you move inshore, you've got guys on the piers and the jetties, in the bay, the marina, fishing for steelhead using spinning gear or fly gear. And then taking it further in stream, all the way up to the headwaters of any of the creeks or rivers around. You're fishing from the shore, and it's so you have a great diversity in the opportunity that's there.
And I would assume that part of the chess match in this sport is knowing where you are, what kind of equipment works best given your environment, and then being able to put that all together and try to land the biggest fish you can.
Yeah, it gets pretty tricky. You got the guys with the spinning gear are figuring different spoons, or they're using live bait minnows, or actually fish eggs, or variety of things. And depending on the conditions, the fish take a different type of bait. So it's a little trial and error in that respect. And of course, the fly fishermen, it's all about whether they want to use little flies or big flies, or they want to put flies down at the bottom of the creek, or they want to fish them up on the top. So you're always thinking while you're doing it. So it really does make you're hunting while you're fishing.
And I think somebody who's not familiar with this sport may not understand that this region really is one of the best areas to do this, and we actually attract people from a pretty wide range that come to this part of the country to do that very thing.
Well, there's no doubt. It is far and away one of the best areas in the country for steelhead fishing. You attract people not just from the tri-state area, and we have the locals, of course, but you got folks from downstate, you got people from New York and Ohio come up. But every year when I'm out on the streams, I'm running into people from the Carolinas, Georgia, Texas. Some of our guys have bumped into guys from Europe that come in to fish this, and it's a unique experience because as we bill ourselves at Steelhead Alley here. And Steelhead Alley is the shore of Lake Erie, basically from Cleveland to Buffalo. And Erie PA is the heart of Steelhead Alley. So we're the epicenter of this event, this activity, and it's like nowhere else in the country. You've got the Pacific Northwest, where the steelhead fishing really came to be in this country, where the fish spawn in the rivers and go out into the ocean. They have a different type of steelheading out there that's much more bucolic, I guess would be a good word for it. You can go out there for a fishing trip, spend 5 days out there, and maybe find 2 or 3 fish. And on the other hand, somebody comes to Erie to fish, they go out in a day and be disappointed if they don't hook up 10 or 20 fish just in the day. So it's a whole different concentrated experience.
We have an awful lot to talk about in this half hour. We are talking about the economic and recreational environmental impact of steelhead fishing in our area, and there is an expo that will celebrate all of that. We will tell you about. We will have more with the webpage too, so stay with us.